Alrighty, so things just ain't looking good for Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Since September last year, after the first couple of episodes were released, they told us that it was a massive hit. Matter of fact, across most of these outlets from the Access Media, we were getting articles like this. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power forges biggest premiere viewership ever for Amazon Prime Video, which isn't telling us exactly too much about it. They only said that 25 million people viewed the first couple of episodes, as the first two episodes were released at the same time, but this doesn't tell us the full story. As fast forward just about 6 months later, after telling us that this was a big hit amongst the viewers, we're getting stories like this, that only 37% of US Lord of the Rings of Power viewers finished season 1, according to reports. Amazon has previously called the show its top original, having been viewed by over 100 million people worldwide. Note, Amazon is even actually shrinking the category, saying that it is their top original, not their top viewing program on the Amazon streaming site itself. Now, is it on Amazon Prime? In any case, since it's premiered last September, The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power has been proudly branded a hit by Amazon Prime. Why wouldn't they brand it a hit? We've already had the story that it must be a success. We read this story from Business Insider that talked about how the powers that be in Amazon need to make sure that this is a success, even if it is not. Prime Video proclaimed that the fantasy series premiere day broke records for the streamer, with 25 million viewers tuning in. Yeah, sure. As of March, Amazon has been calling it its biggest show ever, with over 100 million people worldwide having watched this series. But streaming ratings are always nebulous, and a new report is calling this show success into question. A new report? Seriously? Calling this show's success into question? Seriously? The fact that it had a 38% score rotten on Rotten Tomatoes didn't call its success into question, which kind of adds up if you really think about it. 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and only 37% of people that started the show actually finished the last episode of season 1. It really does add up, and the numbers don't lie now, do they? In the United States, only 37% of viewers who started the Rings of Power actually watched all 8 episodes to completion, according to new reports from The Hollywood Reporter. And remember, only 37% of people finished it. Out of 100 million people, that means only 37 million people finished it. So 63 million people were racist, bigoted, and sexist, according to the showrunners. And most importantly, they were patently evil, according to the showrunners. So if you didn't finish this show, you must have been patently evil. And I can guarantee you the majority of the people that actually managed to finish this show would have probably hate-watched this show, or they were probably just making fun of it along the way as they watch the show. I myself managed to finish the show, and I can guarantee you I only finished it because I wanted to be an authority when I spoke about it on this channel. And by authority, I can categorically tell you guys that the show was absolute garbage. The number was not shared directly from Amazon, but reportedly came from sources within the organization. Of course, why would it be shared by Amazon? They don't want to share their failures now, do they? Streamers that do release viewership metrics never share completion rates for their titles, so success is measured by the raw amount of hours audiences watch the show, even if a few only tuned in for 2 minutes. So you can see how low the bar has been for this show to actually be deemed a massive hit. That said, according to the Hollywood Reporter's story, insiders at Amazon claimed a 50% completion rate would be viewed as a solid but not spectacular result for an original. However, when it comes to Hollywood and Amazon Studios ain't no different. You can only fail upwards, particularly if you push the right politics and you have all of the infinity stones of wokeness. Based on J.R.R. Tolkien's writings, very loosely said, and developed for television by J.D. Payne and Patrick McCain, Rings of Power arrived on Amazon last fall with high expectations from the streamer to be a hit, and received largely positive reviews from critics. Of course, it will receive largely positive reviews from critics. It cannot fail, like I said before. Amazon also needed Rings of Power to be a hit. Season 1 alone had a price tag of $465 million, which is 4 times the amount that was actually budgeted for another show that was running concurrently with this show on another streaming site in House of Dragon. House of Dragon only had $100 million in budget, and it actually blew this show out of the waters. Now, by the way, if you guys have been enjoying this video thus far, do us a favor and smash the like button down below. Now, would you? Thank you very muchly. It is massively appreciated. Now, as I was saying, if if we call back to the beginning of this video, when I read this article stating that Lord of the Rings of Power, forges biggest premiere viewership ever for Amazon Prime, which was blasted over all of Access Media. Many outlets from Access Media stated this. That too was a lie, because if you check the Nielsen rating for 2022 top 15 streaming programs, it actually falls short at number 15, while on its own very same sites, Amazon Prime Videos, The Boys comes at 11. So The Boys actually had more viewership than Lord of the Rings of Power. However, they were telling us otherwise. But while the show managed to make it to number 15 on Nielsen's end of year list of top streaming original shows, it also had a slightly muted reaction from audiences. On social media, it was completely overshadowed by House of Dragons, which attracted significantly more online conversations according to the Parrot analysis, including the superfans that came out to market Lord of the Rings. They did not watch the show. Matter of fact, one of them was called out when she was asked about what was going on, to discuss what was going on the show Lord of the Rings, and she said,
which is better, House of the Dragon or Rings of Power? Well, I haven't watched Rings of Power yet because I'm going to binge it. I don't want to watch them both at the time. And House of the Dragon started first, so I was already taken, so I've got to wait. So I don't know. But so far, House of the Dragon's really good, so Rings of Power's got to do things if it's going to be better than that one.
Some super fan now, isn't it? The show was also largely ignored by award bodies this year. House of Dragons, meanwhile, managed a Golden Globe win for Best Drama Series, which was totally deserved in my opinion. However, from what we've seen from Amazon's Lord of the Rings of Power, that show was a massive flop and a total disaster. But Amazon doesn't want you to think that. Amazon wants you to think otherwise, as Amazon Studios chief Jennifer Salke pushes back on the idea that the show was a massive flop. And this is what she had to say. Quote, "The desire to paint this show as anything less than a success is not reflective of any conversation I'm having internally," end quote. Well, you can have any conversations you want internally, honey, but even Stevie Wonder could see that your show is an absolute disaster and a massive flop. She then goes on to pump up the second season and said, "This is a huge opportunity for us. The first season required a lot of setting up," which seems like a lackluster excuse to me. So why are you making excuses for the first season if the first season was actually a success like you claimed? Now, this is the same woman who claimed that the first season was seen by 240 million households, even though Amazon only had 200 million subscribers, according to the last time they declared how many subscribers that they had. So how did 240 million households actually see this show? Now, when it comes to streaming sites, they will be lucky if any show they put out there, they got 50% viewership from their subscribers. However, she's actually claiming that more households saw her show than actual subscribers had seen it. This is absolutely crazy. But in any case, she's pumping up season 2, but stranger things are starting to happen on the set of season 2 as Horse dies while filming the Lord of the Rings of Power season 2. And they're getting a lot of backlash for that, although they said the horse just died of cardiac arrest and they didn't do anything harsh to the horse. It just died on its own. The stranger things are happening on the set of season 2 as fire breaks out on the UK sets of Amazon's The Lord of the Rings of Power. So it seems to me like maybe Elon Musk was right and J.R.R. Tolkien is turning on his grave, or is actually frowning down from up above. And why wouldn't he? When they took his beloved baby, his story, and they bastardized it to push their own agenda. They race swap characters just to push identity politics. The script is shite, the screenplay is shite, the acting is shite, the fight scenes are shite, the entire show itself is absolutely abysmal, and these people had the nerve to actually reimagine Tolkien's work to suit more modern audience, and they had the nerve to actually call fans that kicked up against it racist, bigoted, sexist people, and worst of all, they called us patently evil if we did not like it. Now, I really won't be surprised if Tolkien is turning in his grave because of all of these strange things happening on the set of season 2, which should be a message to them, but will they ever learn? They will never learn. And when it comes to Patrick McKay and JD Payne, I've only got one message for you. You two
motherfuckers need Jesus.
What she just said